Number 10. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a fantasy novel written by British author J.K. Rowling and the second novel in the Harry Potter series. The plot follows Harry's second year at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, during which a series of messages on the walls of the school's corridors warn that the Chamber of Secrets has been opened and that the heir of Slytherin would kill all pupils who do not come from all magical families. These threats are found after attacks that leave residents of the school petrified. Throughout the year, Harry and his friends Ron and Hermione investigate the attacks. The book was published in the United Kingdom on 2nd July 1998 by Bloomsbury, and later in the United States on 2nd June 1999 by Scholastic Inc. Although Rowling says she found it difficult to finish the book, it won high praise and awards from critics, young readers, and the book industry, although some critics thought the story was perhaps too frightening for younger children. Much like with other novels in the series, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets triggered religious debates. Some religious authorities have condemned its use of magical themes, whereas others have praised its emphasis on self-sacrifice and the way one's character is the result of one's choices. Several commentators have noted that personal identity is a strong theme in the book, and that it addresses issues of racism through the treatment of non-human, non-magical, and non-living people. Some commentators regard the story's diary that writes back as a warning against uncritical acceptance of information from sources whose motives and reliability cannot be checked. Institutional authority is portrayed as self-serving and incompetent. The film adaptation of the novel, released in 2002, became, at the time, the fifth highest-grossing film ever and received generally favorable reviews. Video games loosely based on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets were also released for several platforms, and most obtained favorable reviews. Number 9. The Da Vinci Code is a 2003 mystery thriller novel by Dan Brown. It is Brown's second novel to include the character Robert Langdon. The first was his 2000 novel Angels and Demons. The Da Vinci Code follows symbologist Robert Langdon and cryptologist Sophie Neveau after a murder in the Louvre Museum in Paris causes them to become involved in a battle between the Priory of Sion and Opus Dei over the possibility of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene having had a child together. The novel explores an alternative religious history, whose central plot point is that the Merovingian kings of France were descended from the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, ideas derived from Clive Prince's The Templar Revelation, 1997, and books by Margaret Starbird. The book also refers to The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, 1982, though Dan Brown has stated that it was not used as research material. Citation needed. The Da Vinci Code provoked a popular interest in speculation concerning the Holy Grail legend and Mary Magdalene's role in the history of Christianity. The book has, however, been extensively denounced by many Christian denominations as an attack on the Catholic Church and also consistently criticized by scholars for its historical and scientific inaccuracies. The Nobel Nonetheless became a massive worldwide bestseller that sold 18 million copies as of 2009 and has been translated into 44 languages. In November 2004, Random House published a special illustrated edition with 160 illustrations. In 2006, a film adaptation was released by Columbia Pictures. Number 8. She, subtitled A History of Adventure, is a novel by the English writer Sir H. Rider Haggard, published in book form in 1887, following serialization in the Graphic magazine between October 1886 and January 1887. She was extraordinarily popular upon its release and has never been out of print. The story is a first-person narrative which follows the journey of Horace Holly and his ward Leo Vinci to a lost kingdom in the African interior. They encounter a native people and a mysterious white queen named Aisha, who reigns as the all-powerful she, or she who must be obeyed. Haggard developed many of the conventions of the Lost World genre, which countless authors have emulated. Haggard was part of the literary reaction against domestic realism that has been called a romance revival. Other writers following this trend were Robert Louis Stevenson, George MacDonald, and William Morris. Haggard was inspired by his experiences living in South Africa for 7 years, 1875, II, working at the highest levels of the British colonial administration. In The Figure of She, the novel notably explored themes of female authority and feminine behavior. Its representation of womanhood has received both praise and criticism. Number 7. The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, is a children's fantasy novel by the English author J.R.R. Tolkien. It was published in 1937 to wide critical acclaim, being nominated for the Carnegie Medal and awarded a prize from the New York Herald Tribune for Best Juvenile Fiction. The book is recognized as a classic in children's literature and is one of the best-selling books of all time, with over 100 million copies sold. The Hobbit is set in Middle-earth and follows home-loving Bilbo Baggins, the Hobbit of the title, who joins the wizard Gandalf and the 13 dwarves of Thorin's company on a quest to reclaim the dwarves' home and treasure from the dragon's mouth. Bilbo's journey takes him from his peaceful rural surroundings into more sinister territory. The story is told in the form of a picaresque or episodic quest. Several chapters introduce a new type of monster or threat as Bilbo progresses through the landscape. Bilbo gains a new level of maturity, competence, and wisdom by accepting the disreputable, romantic, fey, and adventurous sides of his nature and applying his wits and common sense. The story reaches its climax in the Battle of Five Armies, where many of the characters and creatures from earlier chapters re-emerge to engage in conflict. Personal growth and forms of heroism are central themes of the story, along with motifs of warfare. These themes have led critics to view Tolkien's own experiences during World War I as instrumental in shaping the story. The author's scholarly knowledge of Germanic philology and interest in mythology and fairy tales are often noted as influences, but more recent fiction, including adventure stories and the works of William Morris, also played a part. The publisher was encouraged by the book's critical and financial success, and therefore requested a sequel. As Tolkien's work progressed on its successor, The Lord of the Rings, he made retrospective accommodations for it in The Hobbit. These few but significant changes were integrated into the second edition. Further editions followed with minor emendations, including those reflecting Tolkien's changing concept of the world into which Bilbo stumbled. The work has never been out of print. Its ongoing legacy encompasses many adaptations for stage, screen, radio, board games, and video games. Several of these adaptations have received critical recognition on their own merits. Number 6. Dream of the Red Chamber, or The Story of the Stone, is an 18th century Chinese novel authored by Cao Shuiqing, considered to be one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. It is known for its psychological scope and its observation of the worldview, aesthetics, lifestyles, and social relations of Hai-Qing China. The intricate strands of its plot depict the rise and decline of a family much like Cao's own, and by extension, of the dynasty itself. Cao depicts the power of the father over the family, but the novel is intended to be a memorial to the women he knew in his youth, friends, relatives, and servants. At a more profound level, the author explores religious and philosophical questions, and the writing style includes echoes of the plays and novels of the late Ming, as well as poetry from earlier periods. Cao apparently began composing it in the 1740s and worked on it until his death in 1763 or 1764. Copies of his uncompleted manuscript circulated in Cao's social circle under the title Story of a Stone, in slightly varying versions of 80 chapters. It was not published until nearly 3 decades after Cao's death, when Gao Yi and Cheng Weiyuan edited the first and second printed editions under the title Dream of the Red Chamber from 1791 to 1792, adding 40 chapters. It is still debated whether Gao and Cheng composed these chapters themselves, and the extent to which they did or did not represent Cao's intentions. Their 120-chapter edition became the most widely circulated version. The title has also been translated as Red Chamber Dream and A Dream of Red Mansions. Redology is the field of study devoted to the novel. Number 5. And Then There Were None is a mystery novel by the English writer Agatha Christie, who described it as the most difficult of her books to write. It was first published in the United Kingdom by the Collins Crime Club on 6 November 1939 as 10 Little Nigers, after Successive American reprints and adaptations use that title, though American pocketbooks paperbacks use the title 10 Little Indians between 1964 and 1986. UK editions continued to use the original title until 1985. The book is the world's best-selling mystery, and with over 100 million copies sold, is one of the best-selling books of all time. The novel has been listed as the 6th best-selling title. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is a fantasy novel written by British author J.K. Rowling. The first novel in the Harry Potter series and Rowling's debut novel, it follows Harry Potter, a young wizard who discovers his magical heritage on his 11th birthday, when he receives a letter of acceptance to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry makes close friends and a few enemies during his first year at the school, and with the help of his friends, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, he faces an attempted comeback by the dark wizard Lord Voldemort, who killed Harry's parents, but failed to kill Harry when he was just 15 months old. The book was first published in the United Kingdom on 26 June 1997 by Bloomsbury. It was published in the United States the following year by Scholastic Corporation under the title Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It won most of the British Book Awards that were judged by children and other awards in the U.S. The book reached the top of the New York Times list of best-selling fiction in August 1999 and stayed near the top of that list for much of 1999 and 2000. It has been translated into at least 73 other languages and has been made into a feature-length film of the same name, as have all 6 of its sequels. The novel has sold in excess of 120 million copies, making it the 4th best-selling book of all time. Most reviews were very favorable, commenting on Rowling's imagination, humor, simple, direct style, and clever plot construction, although a few complained that the final chapters seemed rushed. The writing has been compared to that of Jane Austen, one of Rowling's favorite authors, Roald Dahl, whose works dominated children's stories before the appearance of Harry Potter, and the ancient Greek storyteller Homer. While some commentators thought the book looked backwards to Victorian and Edwardian boarding school stories, others thought it placed the genre firmly in the modern world by featuring contemporary ethical and social issues, as well as overcoming obstacles like bullying. The Harry Potter series has been used as a source of object lessons in educational techniques, sociological analysis, and marketing. Number 3. The Alchemist is a novel by Brazilian author Paulo Coelho, which was first published in 1988. Originally written in Portuguese, it became a widely translated international bestseller. The story follows the shepherd boy Santiago in his journey across North Africa to the pyramids of Egypt after he dreams of finding a treasure there. Number 2. The Little Prince is a novella written and illustrated by French writer and military pilot Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It was first published in English and French in the United States by Reynal and Hitchcock in April 1943 and was published posthumously in France following liberation. Saint-Exupéry's works had been banned by the Vichy regime. The story follows a young prince who visits various planets, including Earth, and addresses themes of loneliness, friendship, love, and loss. Despite its style as a children's book, The Little Prince makes observations about life, adults, and human nature. The Little Prince became Saint-Exupéry's most successful work, selling an estimated 140 million copies worldwide, which makes it one of the best-selling in history. The book has been translated into over 505 different languages and dialects worldwide, being the second most translated work ever published, trailing only the Bible. The Little Prince has been adapted to numerous art forms and media, including audio recordings, radio plays, live stage, film, television, ballet, and opera. And number 1, A Tale of Two Cities is a historical novel published in 1859 by Charles Dickens, set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolution. The novel tells the story of the French doctor Manet, his 18-year-long imprisonment in the Bastille in Paris, and his release to live in London with his daughter Lucy, whom he had never met. The story is set against the conditions that led up to the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. As Dickens's best-known work of historical fiction, A Tale of Two Cities is said to be one of the best-selling novels of all time. In 2003, the novel was ranked 63rd on the BBC's The Big Read poll. The novel has been adapted for film, television, radio, and the stage, and has continued to influence popular culture.